Alright guys, how you doing? It's Rabea, I hope you're all well. Welcome to another episode of Ask the Fro. This is number 14, where you ask questions for this afro, and I'll do my very best to answer them for you. Thank you all so much for asking questions. It's a really good thing that keeps happening, and I really enjoy doing these episodes. If you do have any questions, put them in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. So, without further ado, let's crack on. First question is from Chuck Robertson. He says, "What's up with the Les Paul from Norms? Haven't seen you use it in a video for a while." Nothing's up with it. I still use it. I love it. I've got it, and I still play it. Just because it's not in a YouTube video doesn't mean I don't like it or I haven't used it or anything like that. It's just hasn't been in a YouTube video in a while. Although recently I have used it. I can't remember what pedal demo for or anything like that. But I've been using it on recordings, and it's just a great guitar to have in the collection because for recording you can't beat a Les Paul, especially on rhythm, and it's great. So nothing's wrong with it, nothing's up with it. It's still very good, and I'll just crack it out in another video some other time. Next question is from Josh Cassell. Hope you're doing well, my friend. He says, "Hey dude, hope you're well." I am doing well. Says, "My question, when it comes to YouTube videos, how do you sit on sponsored videos? Obviously some brands are better than others, but I imagine from time to time there is something that comes along that isn't brilliant. I imagine it's hard as it's part of the job. Hope that makes sense." I think what you're basically asking me is, when it comes to sponsored videos, do I feel obligated to review a piece of gear or talk about some product because I'm being paid? Well, firstly, where do I sit on sponsored videos? For me, it's one of the ways that I make a living. It's one of the ways that I'm able to live in Brighton, put food on the table, all the rest of that. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's important that it's transparent so that you know when it's a sponsored video. And I normally say this video is sponsored by, or it's brought to you in collaboration with, or in association with, so you know that I'm working with the brand. But with regards to if it's a bad product, do I still review it? The answer is no. If it's not something that I feel I can personally do justice to, or that I can get a good tone out of, I don't bother reviewing it. So the only videos you see on my channel that are product reviews are ones that I personally feel are good, that I can work with and that I can do a good job of and help the company. Because I don't think it's fair if I just take money off a brand and do a pedal demo that I'm really trying to, get something out of it that's not sorting me out. I just don't think that's fair. And you guys probably be able to tell, because for the most part with my videos, I like to do a lot of playing, so when I'm doing pedal demos and you see me just go for it and I'm just playing all the time, that's probably because I'm really enjoying it. Some more than others, but generally speaking, what you see is what you get. I don't do any EQing in post. What I do, and it is worth saying this, is I have a sort of preset load box IR set that I've already pre-EQ'd, not for each video, but just as a general thing, so I know the sound of those IRs. I tweak them so that I like the way they sound. And generally, when I plug an amp in or a pedal into that's what you hear when you see it on YouTube. I don't do any kind of EQ after the fact. It's all done kind of before, as just in the same way you dial in the tone of your amplifier because it's your tone. It's the same thing with my videos. I have two IRs that I blend together that are pre-EQ'd, that I generally use all the time anyway, but when you see a video, nothing's been done to the audio after it's been recorded, so there you go. But what do I think of generally people paying YouTubers to do videos? Well, it's the same as a brand paying a magazine to do a review. These YouTube channels, mine as well as others, are out there as a source of interest for you guys, but also as a source of promotion for brands. So my channel's obviously been growing over the years. It's valuable to some brands, so if they want to pay me to do video demos, then that's great, just as long as I like the product and I'm happy to share it with you guys. So I hope that made sense. Next question is from Lewis Bullard. I'm not sure how you say that. I'm sorry if I've said it wrong. He says, "What string gauge do you use, and if they have changed over time, how so?" I use the Doro MYXL, and in drop C I use 11 to 60. So I take the 56 out of that pack and swap it with a 60. And in drop A, as in the baritone, I use, I think it's 13 to 68. So it's a 7-string set. I get rid of the 64 and the 11 and basically string it up and then add a 68 on the bottom. So it's super chunky. In standard tuning, 10 to 46. In E flat, 10 to 52. Always did Doro NYXL. They're my boys and girls. But yeah, those are the strings that I use. How have they changed? They haven't really. I really like those strings. For me, Doro is a company that I got working with years ago through Rob, He introduced me to a woman called Elaine that worked there, and they've been great to me, and loyalty is important to me, so there's no reason to jump ship to any other brands for any reason. They haven't done anything that's prevented me from having strings, or the products are fantastic, so I can't really complain. Like, at the end of the day, I have strings from them and they work for me. So hopefully that answered your question. Next question is from Cassell. He says, are there any thoughts of bringing back the Chapman ML1 beer? Not currently. The only ML1 beer that I actually use is my Relict ML1. I do have a production model one that I used in the Catalyst video, but even so, that one got a bit battered. I am thinking about doing another Relic job on one, but in a different way, but I haven't had the time yet. They're a really good guitar. I actually saw one in a Cash Converters recently, and I forgot how nice they look as new, because mine's so beaten up, but I really like the guitar. Like, I love mine. It's one of my favourite guitars that I use, but it's just... I really love the ML3 shape, that T-type shape, whatever you want to call it. And that's the shape that I feel I'm most comfortable with now. So, is what it is. But no plans to bring it back yet. So, if you've never seen that guitar, you can look it up on Google, just ML1 beer, and see what you think. Next question is from the K87. He says, hey Beer, what do you think about the Evertune Bridge? Would you get a guitar with it for studio work? Also, since you're using the Helix in Frog Leap, why are you still using a separate pedal board for Tosca and Dorje? Are there explicit tones you can't achieve with the Helix, or is it just personal preference? Part one of that question is, what do I think of Evertune bridges? I think they have a relevance in guitar playing today. I personally don't like using them. I just don't. I'm not saying they're a bad thing, but for me, any kind of tremolo, trem block, anything like that, I'm just not really a huge fan of that as such. I know I've blocked off my ML1 Relic, but that's because I just don't use the trem system in it anymore. But if I do have guitars with the trems, I just leave them be, because that's what they're meant to have. Evertune is fantastic for that, staying in tune. In the studio, I absolutely think it's a very useful tool, because there are times where you want the performance coming from someone playing really hard and going for it, but the guitar doesn't quite hold its tuning. That's where Evertune comes in. It will stay in tune and you can smash the hell out of the guitar to get that performance, that energy. So yeah, definitely in the studio, I think they're fantastic. And even for live to an extent, I think the problem that I had originally was to install one, you actually take a lot of wood out of the guitar, and I was just like, well, that's a bit of a shame, because the wood makes the tone. But yeah, I don't think they're bad at all. I think if you like that kind of thing, great. Guitars with them are great. They've now been integrated into the commonplace alongside Floyd's and trem systems and hardtails and all the rest of it. So what I really think doesn't matter anyway. But I hope that answered your question. Next part of the question is, with the Frog Leap Helix rig, I use that rig because it does what I need it to do in Frog Leap. If I had a choice to use pedals and amps, I would, but that's because that's what I like. I like valve amplifiers, and I like what pedals do. They're designed to do a specific job. Like my Timeline and my Big Sky, they're designed to do delay and reverb, and they do it so good. And with the sound of a valve amplifier, hearing it through a cab is unbeatable. I know I love playing at home with load boxes, but that's because I have to, because I can't use, cabs in a terraced house. It'll just annoy people. But always live, it's, tube amp, cab, pedal board, for me to feel the most satisfaction out of the guitar sound that I've got. That being said, I think things like Kempers and Helix and Axe FX and all the neural DSP stuff is incredible, and it's really paving the way for the modern guitar player, making it a lot easier to travel and play, travel and tour, record remotely. So I'm not speaking ill of any of that stuff. It's just I like tube amps and pedals. Going back to Frog Leap, it's impossible to use tube amps and pedals in that gig because the tunings change mid-song, so it's just not possible. Having something like the Helix Shuriken rig is invaluable, and I love it, and I think it's amazing, and it sounds great. But that's why. So I hope that answered your question too. Next question is from Juan Carlos Garcia Zambrano. Hope you said that name right. He says, hi Rabea, what monitors do you use in your studio? I'm currently using, where is it there? That's a Event Studio Precision 6, I believe. I've had these for quite a while. Bought them from Dave a few years ago. They are very good. They're old, they're passive, so they need a power amplifier. And I've recently just ordered a pair of Neumann KH310 monitors, which haven't arrived yet, but when they do, I can't wait to hear them. I've heard great things, been recommended them from a few people, like Fluff, Tom Waterman from UA, Nolly said they were great. So yeah, I'm hoping they're great. If they're not, I'll send them back, but I'm sure they're going to be good because Neumann make incredible microphones, and a speaker is 99.9% the same as a microphone anyway. So yeah, I'm not worried. But these monitors have done me great for a long time. It's just they're a little fatiguing in the kind of high-mid area, which is roughly where guitars are. And since I mix a lot of guitars and music now in general, they're a little bit heavy in the high-mid. So I find it's hard to get guitars to sit in the mix properly, and also my ears fatigue after not very long, which is annoying when I'm using. I don't mix very loud, to answer any questions about that. It's one of those things. They're just really present in that area, so I need something a little bit flatter. So yeah, I'm hoping the Neumanns will do the job. Next question is from Super Ahima. Sorry if I said that wrong. When do we get more Dorje music? Me and Rob have been writing. I've got maybe 7 or 8 demos now that I've done at home that I've sent to Rob, and he's writing lyrics for. And we're due to hang out as a band for the first time in a while, actually, in the next week or two, to plan out what's going on with that. You know, at this stage, all I can tell you is that we've got music to record, and we're going to record it, and then we'll see what happens. So yeah, new Dorje music will be coming most likely next year. I know we've said that for a few years. It's just we didn't want to force anything, and it's important that everyone feels ready to go back into it, because we hit it pretty hard for a couple of years, and then life took over for everyone. So if we're going to go back to it, we want to make sure we do it properly, and so you guys enjoy it. Next question is from Midas Mazairik. Sorry if I said that wrong. What's your favourite guitar that you do not yet own? Ooh, probably a Gretsch Penguin. Didn't take me long to say that. There's obviously millions of guitars out there. You see them on Instagram and just around and on YouTube, and it's like, I'd love to own that one and that one and that one. But honestly, when I'm getting guitars for my studio and for video or for myself, it's less about, that's a great guitar, just want it because it looks good. Each guitar that I own has a specific requirement. I have a specific requirement of it. So like, I got Strats because they have a certain tone for recordings and for the type of gear that I sometimes review, but mainly for recording, it's really important to have a Strat. And I got the second one because it had a rosewood board, thinner neck, different era pickups, so it's a different sound. Got the Telly because it's a Telly, sounds very different to a Strat. Got a Les Paul because Les Pauls sound just like Les Pauls, and you need that on a recording, in rock as well, in metal and stuff. PRS, again, it's not a standard PRS, it's got the little 408 pickups, it has a specific sound for a specific job. My SIGs are kind of designed for me, so I want those on recordings, and I want to go out and gig with those and use those. You know, things like the JP15 has the piezo in it, and it has the baked maple neck, so it's super snappy. It's great for recording leads on. You know, each guitar that I have has a purpose in the studio, and the one sound that I don't have yet is the Gretsch Penguin. Gretsch's and the TV Jones, you know, Filtertron style sound is a very specific sound, so I definitely want to get a Gretsch Penguin at some point. Next question is from the Lord of Pasta. Thank you for lasagna and fusilli and penne, tagliatelle. It's all great, so cheers. When are the affordable SIGs coming out? Okay, I must have answered this question a bunch of times already. The prototypes are on the way. They're being manufactured now by the factory. They're going to get sent over so we can check them and sign them off. So as soon as I've got them, I'll make a video so you can see them. It's just a long process, and there's been a lot going on with Chapman guitars. But when they're here, I promise you, you'll be the first to know on YouTube. And then hopefully they'll be out. I mean, I'm hoping they're going to be out for NAMM, if not before. But if they are, you'll know about it. But I can't wait to show them to you. I can't wait to see them. You know, it's been a while since I submitted the spec. So yeah, but definitely not long. Next question is from Patrick Hievitzi. I hope I said that right. He says, "Hi Beer, what's your opinion about Arik and Prota's work? Do you like Night versus FIFA 333? I'm a huge fan of Arik. He's an awesome drummer. I think he's one of the most creative, innovative drummers of our generation. Really pushing boundaries in terms of incorporating other instruments and sounds and styles into his playing. Just a huge fan. And then on top of that, he's an incredible illustrator, does incredible work with Hexwave, which is his company that do designs for stuff. My calf tattoo is heavily influenced by him. And I had the pleasure of meeting him at Nova Rock, and he's such a dude, such a nice guy, incredible performer, lots of energy. Both bands, Fever 333, are insane, but then on top of that, Night Verses are incredible. And if Tosca come to the States, maybe next year, I'm going to hit him up, as we spoke about it together at Nova Rock, and it'd be really cool to have Tosca and Night Verses out on the road. So if that happens, that would be sick. But yeah, to answer your question, I think he's awesome. If you've never heard of him, check out Arik Improta on YouTube, follow him on Instagram. He's a dude. So yeah. Next question is from Painkiller488X. He says, "Hi Beer, for the next FAQ, how do you feel about British tone? Do you believe in that?" I think it's just something that people have coined as a sound over the years. I mean, when you listen to, it's funny, right? You listen to someone like AC/DC, they're Australian, but they have that British sound because they use Marshalls. Marshalls are a British amp company. It's like we've just decided to call it British tone. When you hear a cranked Marshall JCM, or when you hear a Mesa Boogie, you go, oh, that's, they're manufactured in California, so that's the American sound. I mean, yeah, I can kind of subscribe to it, but I don't think it's really that relevant. It's like, it's just a nice guitar tone, just a cool guitar sound. So I can see why people do that. And also it's helpful now. If I said to somebody, I need to get that kind of British breakup guitar tone, they'll know what I mean. They'll go, right, Marshall, blah, 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 AC30, whatever. But if you go, I want a thick, rich sort of American high gain, you're going to jump over to like Mesa or 5150 or, something like that to get that sound. So it is helpful, but that's because we coined the phrase years ago. So it's taken a long time for people to catch up. But anyway, that's how I feel about it. Next question is from Luke McFarlane. He says, "Hey Beer, since listening to your new pickups in your demos, it deems they have a heavy peak in the high, mids and treble, really giving you a bite and growl for pick attack and chords. Do you find that it lends itself better to chord definition, or is it purely due to an EQ curve you wanted?" It's a great question, and to answer it, that was a difficult task. The remit was, I need to be able to have a guitar pickup that can play heavy, aggressive music, but also clean up and do chimey, ambient, glassy leads. So it was difficult because there has to be a compromise somewhere, in the sense, to get that growly, bitey mid-range, it means there's got to be a bump in the high mids. And, that means that when you clean it up and you play with more glassy, smoother tones, that can sound a bit honky and a little bit nasal, which is why, when you play with those softer tones, it's nicer to use single coils and, lower output pickups for that reason, so it has less of that honk. But it's really good for heavier stuff because you want that grunt, So trying to get a balance between the two, because I like playing rhythm, I like playing riffs, I like playing lead, I like playing ambient stuff, I like playing all sorts of music. That means I wanted a pickup that could kind of do it all, which is really hard to do. But Tim's such a genius and he's such an awesome engineer when it comes to pickups and sound that, having him and Nolly there to, go over pickups and talk about those things, EQ curves and stuff, I felt confident we'd landed on a set that did just do that. So yes, they are great for heavier stuff, but they also clean up super well, and I've been really happy with the tones I can get from them. We're still going to probably look at another prototype set, but for now I'm very excited and I can't wait for them to come out. So thanks for asking about them, and as soon as they're out, I'll be doing some tone demos. The penultimate question for this Ask the Fro episode is from Guillaume Frery. I don't know if I said your last name right, I'm sorry. "Hi Beer, first of all, I am very impressed by your playing and I love what you make with Tosca and Dorje. Thank you. My question for you is, how do you maintain your guitars and how often do you change your strings and clean them?" Yeah, this is difficult when you've got more than one or two guitars. Over the years, I've obviously collected and accumulated a lot of guitars, and that is the problem. when you go and pick that guitar because you haven't played it in a while, you look at it and you go, oh, these strings are old, they need changing. I generally try and keep it fairly conservative, but I'll sort of, as you can see around me, they've got a few guitar stands. I'll always have 2 or 3 guitars in the studio at one time, one that's modern, one that's more vintage, and one somewhere in the middle, or just because I want to play it. So those ones will get restrung and cleaned and used for a bit, and then they'll go away, and then I'll grab a few others and I'll just do that. So it's kind of how I like to do it. Obviously when I'm on tour, those guitars get restrung every gig. I restring my guitars before every single time I play, just because, you know, if you snap a string, you're screwed when you're only one guitarist in a band, so it is annoying. Some might say that's overkill, but I sweat a lot, and my sweat is corrosive as hell, so it definitely is worth doing for me. So yeah, I tend to maintain the guitars in small chunks, if that makes sense. So yeah, thanks for the question. The next and final question of Ask the Throw number 14 is from the Dutch De Gentleman. He says, "Hi Beer, when are we finally going to get a collab with Misha Mansoor? That would be freaking awesome." To concur, it would be freaking awesome. I would love to collaborate with Misha. I'm a fan of his work, but more so because I love his musical mind. Like, obviously, he does the Periphery stuff, and I do like the Periphery stuff, but what I really like is that, you know, his vision for orchestration and all that kind of stuff is really unique, and it's something that he's been growing and progressing over the last however many years, and I just respect his work. Really, it's from one sort of songwriter, riffy guy, guitar player to another. I just have mad respect for it, for what he's done and achieved. So yeah, I'd love to write a few tunes with him. I wouldn't even be bothered if it wasn't heavy. You know, if it's electronic or ambient, I'd be well happy to do that. But I don't know if that'll ever happen, because he's a busy guy, I'm a busy guy. We live at very different parts of the world. But you never know, all right? You never say never. Well, there we go. There is Ask the Throw number 14. Thank you very much for asking me all these questions. I really enjoy doing these videos. I know it's been a while since the last one, but they're always going to carry on because it's really nice to connect with you guys. So if you have any more questions, put them in the comment section below. I'll always do my best to answer them. Until next time, I've been Rabea. Like, subscribe, and share. Thank you all, and I'll see you very soon.